Soulwind TV presents.
Faith and Hope with Sweet Tea Sass, encouraging couples to reconnect with God and with each other so they can live their happily ever after too.
We still can't hear them either.
No, but anyway.
I'm feeling extra sassy today. Sorry, y'all.
Anyway, welcome back.
He was gone all day yesterday. I didn't have anybody to sass at.
We hope that y'all are enjoying these episodes and our backstory and getting to know us a little bit better and who we are and where we came from and that kind of stuff. And this week's topic is called Humble Beginnings.
Actually, before we move into that, we would love to get to know y'all. If you would drop us a comment in the comment section or look us up on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on Instagram at Elizabeth Clamman or at Arnold Clamman. He's only on Facebook and LinkedIn. Are you still on LinkedIn? No, just on Facebook. He's just on Facebook. I'm on all of them. So you can look me up or look him up on Facebook or look us up in Married by Design on Facebook as our Facebook group. And we would love to talk to you, hear how you like the podcast and, you know, that you've been listening. We would love some feedback. That would be amazing. Positive feedback would be great. That would be awesome.
But we take critical feedback too.
Yeah,
because you got to learn.
Done in love, please.
Exactly.
Okay.
Where was I? Humble beginnings.
Humble beginnings.
Now, as we stated last week, we are going to start bringing Bible verses into our topics and our discussions. And this week's Bible verse is out of Philippians 2, verse 3. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. That is a tough Bible verse to live by.
Yes.
Especially in this day and age.
Putting others above yourself and thinking of everybody else above yourself. That's hard.
That is very hard.
And that's where we see a lot of marriages struggle because you have to put your spouse above yourself. You have to humble yourself and put your spouse above yourself and make them the priority. And that's really hard to do sometimes, especially when you're not really happy with what they're doing or how they're acting. Putting them and their needs and wants and desires above yours is really difficult.
Yes, it's very difficult. But back to topic here, humble beginnings, as I stated.
And back to the story.
Yes.
So we got married.
And we moved into a very,
very
small trailer.
As a matter of fact, we live in an RV now by choice because we travel and speak and do workshops and seminars, and we have a book coming out later this year. I have several books that I've already published, and we do book signings and those kind of things. And so we travel a lot. So we decided when he retired to live in an RV. So, you know, we have our screen here, so you can't see our kitchen behind us. But we lived in a mobile home that was smaller than the RV we live in now.
Yes. The mobile home that we rented for 6 months, I guess, right after we got married.
Yeah, 6 months.
Was 8 feet wide and about 30 feet long. And it was 2 bedroom, 1 bath, kitchen in the bedrooms on each end. Kitchen in the middle, bathroom in the middle, and a living room somewhere in between.
Yes, and borrowed furniture.
Yes, borrowed furniture.
An old TV that was black and white, and the screen used to roll, and you'd have to stomp the floor to make the screen stop. Like, you talk about humble.
Yes.
Man, we were humble. We had just your old Chevy truck.
Yep.
That was already how old at that point?
It was already 18, 19 years old. So.
Yep. We had the one truck. So if I needed the truck to go anywhere, I had to take him to work and drop him off in the morning and then take the truck and go do what I needed to do and then pick him up in the evening. So it was
Fortunately, I wasn't working very far away.
No, it wasn't far away. It was pretty close, but it was,
The day we got married, we had We had set out steaks and baked potatoes for dinner that night.
Yep, we were going to go on a honeymoon later. We could save up our money and go.
Yep, and realized that we didn't have any way to cook the steaks.
Yep.
So I had to go back to my mom and dad's house, borrow their grill, which mom and dad gave us eventually. And
I think they were in the midst of moving, and so they just didn't even get it back.
They
just let us have it.
And got their dining room furniture and
that they had since you were like a baby.
Since I was 5 or 6 years old, so it was very humble beginnings.
Yep. And then he went and got the grill and came back, and he's grilling the steaks. I'm going to make baked potatoes and I was going to cook a can of corn. We didn't even have a can opener. We had not had a shower because we planned the wedding so quickly that they didn't give us our wedding shower until a week after we got married. So we had just what dishes and things that he had when he lived in an apartment by himself after high school for like a couple months,
maybe 4 months.
Maybe. And so his mom and dad, had those packed up in boxes. They gave us to him. That gave them back to us. We had practically nothing. And so I had to open that can of corn with a knife. I still have all my fingers. So, but I have done that since then and have had to have stitches because I'm obviously not as good with a knife as I used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's humble beginnings is it makes you appreciate where you are now in life.
Yes, when you look back on those times.
I think we were able to survive those times because we had lots and lots of, I was going to say love at first sight, but looking back at it now, I would say it was more like severe case of infatuation.
Lots of infatuation. Yeah.
And we were living off of each other's affections and what little money we had coming in is
yep.
Something else.
After we got married December 8th, and after the holidays, I got a job at a daycare in the mornings working with 2-year-olds until noon. And then I got a job at another daycare working in the after school program, watching the kids. He was working at a mechanic shop. And so, we were not highballing it. We were not making lots of money, but we were getting by and we were doing all right. And then maybe a week after we got married, he comes home from work one of those days where I didn't need the truck and he had the truck all day. He tells me he has to run an errand after work. He comes home with a cat. Does not tell me he's getting a cat, a full-grown cat, not a kitten, full-grown cat, comes bebopping in the house with a cat. And I'm like, why do you have a cat? And he goes, I went to the pound and got you a cat. And I said, I didn't want a cat. I'm a dog person. Now, this is some things that we didn't cover in the 4 months we were dating.
We didn't discuss pets.
I mean, I have cats. They're okay. They're fine. I mean, we have 5 of them right now in an RV. Well, I say he has 5 of them. On the back of my first book, it says she lives in North Carolina with her husband and his 6 cats. Now we have 5 because one of them passed away from old age. But yeah, he's the cat person. He really went and got the cat for him, but he thought it would sound better. I don't know. Is that what you thought?
No.
No. Why did you get the cat for me?
I just thought you wanted a cat.
You didn't think you needed to ask me first?
No. I was just trying to surprise you.
Oh, yeah, it was a surprise, all right. And then I'm like, okay, I guess we have a cat, but guess what? You're taking care of it. I don't do cat boxes and that kind of stuff. No.
Well, believe it or not, that cat lived with us for what, 16 years?
16, 17 years. That cat, we did not lose that cat until Florida. And that was, gosh, I mean, we had all 3 kids and I mean, we had that cat for a long time. We joked for a while that as long as we had that cat, we were good.
Yeah.
But if we ever lost that cat, we were in trouble with our marriage because she just kept sticking around through kids, through everything. But
She moved with us 5 times.
She did. Oh, bless her heart. She just kept on sticking around until she just couldn't stick around anymore. But man, she was a good cat. But
Yeah.
and we didn't know what to name her. Do you remember how we named her? Do you remember how she got her name?
No, I don't remember how we named her.
Yeah, your sister came over to that little tiny trailer, your oldest sister.
Yeah.
And the cat came flying up. She was sitting on the couch. The cat came flying up and jumped over her and did a flying somersault into the kitchen. And your sister said, "Well, hello, Squirt."
Yeah.
And it stuck. And that cat was named Squirt for the rest of her life. Bless her heart. She never had a decent name. But
Well, there's nothing wrong with Squirt.
I guess for a cat, I mean, but
So we lived.
so I learned an important lesson. My husband loves cats.
Yeah.
And this is something I obviously have not paid close attention to because I took in a pregnant stray, is how we ended up with the ones we have now. I took in a pregnant stray because I felt sorry for her. And now I didn't get the kittens given away fast enough before he named them and got attached to them.
I like cats. What can I say?
Yeah, well, he gets that from his mother. He has a heart of gold, and his mother had a heart of gold. And that was his mother's favorite thing she was looking for the most of us moving here to Texas, where she was that we were going to have the cats with us. And she was going to get to come out here and see the cats and pet the cats every day because his dad hated cats. And that might be part of the reason he loves them so much, because of his mother loving them and his dad hating them, because pretty much anything his dad liked then or hated, he was going to do the opposite. It was just, it's kind of a father-son thing sometimes, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, fortunately, we don't have that with our son. Him and our son are 2 peas in a pod. Thank God. Thank you, God. We didn't have that whole male. I don't know how to say it politely on a Christian network, but I know how my family said it. A contest.
Yeah.
You guys can guess what kind of contest.
So we stayed in this small camper, or not camper. Stayed in this small trailer for about 6 months, and the lot where we were renting the camper from put a notice on our door one day and said rent was going up. And
oh, do you remember what?
Well, we also now had a puppy, and
yeah,
somebody
'cause I
complained
like
about
dogs.
somebody complained about the puppies, so we
We
were
weren't
given
allowed to have dogs.
we were given notice that it was time for us to move out. So
He was contraband.
So we started looking, and
His name was Dexter. And
We
he was
found-
contraband.
we found a place that sold used mobile homes, and we found another RV park that had an opening
Trailer
for
park.
trailer park.
He's got RV on the brain
Yeah,
now.
I got RV on the brain. But we found another trailer park. We're still what we thought we thought we were living high.
We're moving on up.
Yeah, we went from a 30-foot trailer to a 70-foot trailer, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
We brought 2 of our 3 children home to that trailer.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, it was still humble beginnings. But we were okay. We owned it.
Yep, we owned it. We were able to put a substantial amount of money down on it and pay it off rather quickly, and then
That was always important to us.
Yep.
To own it, to be
own it.
able to be not have the debt.
we wanted from the very beginning, everything we did, we wanted to be able to pay cash for, or to be able to pay off quickly in a matter of a year or less.
Yep.
And we were able to do the same thing with that trailer, that second trailer that we had. And
No, the first one we just rented.
yeah, the first one we just rented. The
That's
second one we paid
one we bought.
paid outright.
And that's why we bought a repoed one that somebody had repoed. It was in good shape. It wasn't anything wrong with it. It wasn't torn up or anything.
Just needed a new home.
It just needed somebody to take it. And so we took it, and we didn't have to do any work to it, and we got it for a good price. So, and very humble beginnings, but man, your family was not happy.
No,
His family did not like our humble beginnings.
they tolerated it.
They were not, they were displeased. Your dad especially.
They tolerated it, but
Your dad was especially displeased.
yeah, because
Just go ahead and tell him.
he wanted us to be in a brick and mortar home, and to have a home, but that's not what we wanted. That's not who we were.
But I mean,
Of course, we
doesn't
didn't know who we were at that time.
no, we were still figuring it out. But doesn't every dad want that though?
You would hope so.
I mean, every dad wants their child to do at least as well as they're doing.
You would hope every dad or mom would want their kids to do as well or better than what they started out.
I wanted better and more for ours.
But I didn't know how mom and dad started out. I didn't know if they were in an apartment or a house or what.
They didn't do a podcast.
Before they joined the Air. Well, they didn't tell us any of those stories before they joined the Air Force. And
No, and they
after
didn't.
Dad joined the Air Force, all of his housing was was provided by the military. So it was
owned some houses.
Not until he got up in rank and after I had 3 small sisters did he start buying homes. Before that, we always lived in base housing.
Yeah.
So homes were always provided for. So,
but when
and
we're
those
talking,
weren't much better than where we started in humble beginnings.
I don't know. We never lived in military housing, but when we're talking about humble beginnings, we were fine with our humble beginnings. But sometimes your family is not as fine. My family wasn't okay with our humble beginnings either. We were okay with it, but neither one of our families were happy with the choices we were making. But sometimes as adults, you have to make your own choices. You have to make your own decisions. And sometimes as parents, and I will tell you, having been through this with our 3 adult children, we haven't always been happy with the choices our children have made.
No.
But we have to let them make their choices. Even if we know they're going to fall flat on their face, we have to let them make their choices and then stand back. We have to stand back and pray for them and be prepared to pick them up when they fall on their face and help them however we can, or be in prayer and be listening and in tune to the Holy Spirit to say, is this something God's trying to teach them? And if we intervene, are we intervening where God is trying to teach them something? And we intervene, then are we intervening in the lesson that God's trying to teach them?
Are we causing a conflict between in that lesson?
Right.
So it's
right. And we don't want to do that because then we're just delaying the lesson that they need to learn. And that's not a good thing. But our family was not okay with our choices, any of our choices.
No. Matter of fact, after we got married, we decided to change churches from where my parents went. And
that was a big conflict.
I was raised Baptist until I was in high school, and then Mom and Dad switched to Assembly of God.
And I was raised very Southern Baptist.
And then after we got married,
with my grandmother.
After we got married, we continued going to church where Mom and Dad went, and that just wasn't working out. So.
There were no young couples. There were no young married couples. There were youth and older married couples with children, but there were no young couples without kids our age.
Right.
And so it just wasn't where we just wasn't where God wanted us to be.
And we started looking, and we found another church that a Baptist church.
Happened to be a Baptist church.
But it had a slew of young married couples in that church our age and just getting started. And so they were in the same boat we were. So we changed churches, and that didn't please our parents either. But
we found a community.
And
that's important.
Like it says in the Bible, though, man and woman will cleave unto themselves and leave their family and basically start a family of your own, and that includes a church family.
Right.
And you have to go where God's called you to go. And so changing churches was another step in our growth, in our relationship toward each other, but our relationship toward God as well. And because of that change, it created more conflict within the family.
With your family.
With my family. And
my family didn't go to church. So, my parents, my mom and stepdad didn't go to church anywhere. So, and my grandmother didn't care as long as we went.
Right.
As long as it was a Bible preaching, Bible believing, Bible teaching church, she didn't care as long as we went.
Exactly.
But his parents and his sister especially were not happy that we went to another church. And I know several times, and this is something I never really understood, is that when his parents were displeased with something that we were doing, like they didn't like us staying in my hometown and what he considered his hometown because he'd been there the longest, or with us going to church there, or with the job that he was working at, they would come over and be there before he got off work, and they would always ask me, well, why do you have to live here? Well, why does he have to work there? Well, why do you have to go to church there? And it always seemed really strange to me
Well, they
that
never asked me those questions.
why wouldn't you ask your son if you weren't happy with what they were doing? Why wouldn't you? I mean, I would go to my child and say, why are you doing this? Explain this to me. And I found out since then with our children, they did the same thing with our children. Our daughter and her husband, they would ask her husband instead of asking her. So I don't know why. I don't know why they did that.
I don't know.
I don't know. It just
Maybe they're trying to avoid confrontation. I don't know.
maybe, I guess maybe they thought because we were the in-law, maybe we wouldn't confront, but it was actually the opposite of that. I'm the confronter.
Yeah,
I don't know if y'all noticed that, but I'm the one that
just a little bit.
I don't like things hanging open. I don't like the passive aggressive stuff, and I don't like the yin 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 yin. If you've got something to say, if you need to tell me something, if there's a conflict going on, just come and tell me. Just come and be forthright and upfront and tell me, and let's discuss it and let's get it over with. Don't just leave it hanging, and don't just try to, yin behind your back. That's just not okay. I don't like that.
That's the same way in your marriage. When you have issues that come up in your marriage, you need to be forthright and
Yes.
upfront. Don't let anything stew, because if you let it stew, it's just going to continue to fester. And there were there have been many nights that you and I have crawled in bed to go to bed, but ended up staying up until 3-4 o'clock in the morning to get things worked out and to get things finalized. And
Hashing it out.
We made a promise that we'd never go to bed angry. And there were many nights that I'd have an hour of sleep before I had to get up and go to work the next day.
Yeah, me too.
It's just something that we've always done. We've hashed it out before we've gone to sleep.
Right. We are not ones to just leave it. Now, if you're really angry, if you're both really angry, what we have always done is we go opposite directions. He'll go for a walk one way and I'll go for a walk the other way, or he'll go to one end and I'll go to the other end. Even in this RV.
Yep.
One of us will go to the bedroom and one of us will stay in the living room. We separate because we don't want to speak to each other out of that anger and say something that we didn't intend to say, we didn't want to say. Sometimes you have to give yourself a cooling off period.
Yes.
Because we both have bad tempers. We both do. I had a Cajun temper that is from here to gone.
And I got
an Irish temper. So they don't mix.
Couldn't tell it by all this white stuff, but
no,
there's Irish in there.
Yeah, his mother was a McDougal, so that's about as Irish as you can get. So you don't act out of that anger. You give that anger a cooling period, and then you come back when you're cooled off and she's cooled off, and you can work it out and talk it out. But don't yell it out, don't fight it out. And that's what we're going to talk about in our next episode, learning to live together. Before we learn to separate and cool it off, some things that we did that we don't want you to do, some traps we fell into that before we learned to separate and let it cool off. So,
there were quite a few landmines that we want to try and save you from.
Yeah, we want you to keep your legs, like I've been saying. Want you to keep both your legs. Don't step on those landmines. So
from Sweet Tea
and Sass,
this is our episode this week, and we love y'all.
And we'll see you later. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Are you feeling broken or lost? Are you struggling to find a community of like-minded women? Come join us on Soulwin, Shining Our Light Women's Inspiration Network. Soulwin women have come out victoriously from their dark places and now use their God-given gifts to shine their light to the whole world. Get your free 30-day trial today. Go to www.soulwin.com enlightening.tv to subscribe now.